In this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about the Bosch CX Race Motor, a limited edition motor, $1,000 extra, made for enduro racing. I'm going to tell you what it does, how it's different from the Bosch CX motor, and how much battery it takes up, and most important, I'm going to tell you how fast it is. Okay, I've been riding this motor for a while in Colorado and now here in my local trails in Santa Cruz on this Shuttle AM bike by Pivot. And what's really cool about this motor is made for racing, but it's now being made available to consumers. 500 per manufacturer, so limited edition. And you know what these manufacturers are going to do? They're going to put it on their very high-end models, get the most money. $1,000 extra for this motor usually. And what I'm going to attempt to answer for you guys is it worth it? Is it worth it for you? It's going to cost you a lot of money and maybe time if you wait for this motor. And I'm going to do that with my E-MTB power meter testing. I've tested maybe 10, 20 bikes here, analog and e-bikes, and I'm going to tell you exactly how much faster this bike is compared to all the rest. How do I do the power meter testing? I basically put the bikes in full gas mode, and the biggest variable of all is the rider, the body, and the power. And I'm going to limit my power to a constant rate for the whole hill climb. I'm going to leave that at the end. First, I'm going to describe to you guys the Bosch CX Race Motor. What it is a special version of the CX motor, developed for racing. And really the purpose of racing is to get the bleeding edge. And whoever walks the line, the rules, the best is usually going to win, right? NASCAR, F1, it's all about that, and that's what they're doing here. They're walking the line. They're limited to the power, 250 watts nominal, but there's no real rules on how quick the power ramps up to your pedal. And there's also, I'm not sure there's a limit to the overrun, meaning when you stop pedaling, how many milliseconds does it take for the motor to stop? Usually the rule is 250 milliseconds, to keep it safe for e-bikes. But hey, they say, hey, this is for racing, and the racing rules don't cover that. So we're gonna max out both these variables. All right. They also made the motor lighter and a different color. Very smart of them. Lighter. It's 130 grams lighter. Not much. It's like a stack of quarters, and different color, a matte gray finish. Little more beveling, so it looks strict. So if you got the money, you're gonna want this motor. But I'm here to tell you what it does exactly. The peak power is actually the same, 600 watts, maybe a little more, but they're claiming 600. I think that's a law in some European countries. You can't go over that, so they're just keeping that concept. But what we're saying is 4x. So 4x means all you have to put in is 150 watts. You put in 150 watts, they're gonna put in 600. So 150 times 4 is 600. So it expects less from you for it to deliver full power. The other thing is, how quickly does it give you full power? How quick is that ramp? So this is very quick. On the race mode, very quick. All you need to do is kind of lean on the pedal, and then it goes boom, boom. And then the other side of it is when you stop pedaling, how quickly does the motor stop giving power? And this one delivers a lot of power. It's commonly referred to as overrun. Most bikes, motors are 250 milliseconds, so pretty quick. And this one has, I don't know, a second or two. They're claiming 2 meters. So for 2 meters of a little bit of a climb, it'll still deliver power. So you'll hear when you stop, it goes, it's still going. And where that's really useful is in technical climbs. So technical climbs, you often can't pedal rocky ledges and whatnot because you're going to pedal strike. So it's very handy to have a little bit of the motor runnings so you could have a little bit of time before you can pick up the pedals again. What do I think? I think it's kind of good to have it handy, but I wouldn't pay for it because it only really helps you if you are counting seconds. If you're in a race and you with current laws, or you're racing your friends and you're like and you're losing by 5 seconds, maybe this thing can help you get those 5 seconds, because it really has technology that makes you faster. But for most people, it doesn't matter. What does it cost you? It costs you a lot in kind of the natural, a lot of money for sure, but it's going to cost you in terms of rideability. As you're doing a switchback, this thing will punch and it will shoot you off the corner, but you can use your brake, you use your technique, but you use your rear brake as a clutch, so to speak, to modulate your speed. I also compare it to the turbo mode of this bike. You know, how is the race different from the turbo mode? Because the normal Bosch CX motor is super powerful already. So enjoy the data. We're gonna nerd out on some data, and I'm gonna show you how this compares to other bikes. Thanks a ton. And here's the race run of the Bosch CX Race Motor. You can hear the actual sound of the motor at full power. I'm gonna turn it down for this voiceover. It's in race mode, 1 mile long, 500 foot of elevation gain, and the rider output is 200 watts. And the results are, we used up 45 watt hours of the 750 watt hour battery. Average speed was 12.7 miles an hour, and the elapsed time is 4 minutes 34 seconds, a new record for us. And the Gen 3 Levo with the Brose motor is right here. You can hear the acro sound of the motor. It's a bit louder. It's a year-old bike. It's in race mode, 1 mile long, 500 foot elevation gain. And the actual results are 56 watt hours used of the 700 watt hour battery. The average speed was 11.4 miles an hour, and the elapsed time is 5 minutes 8 seconds, our previous best time. And now we're gonna give you a little animation, visualize how the race was won. The red dot is the Bosch CX Race, and the blue dot is the Gen 3 Levo. Fairly equal, but not right here, as the trail has twists and turns. The Bosch CX Race takes command of the event. So its time was 4:34 compared to the Gen 3 Levo at 5:08. And on our last slide, we're going to share a lot of our timing data with you. That way you have context on what the Bosch CX Race finishing time really means. So first place is 4:34 for the CX Race in race mode. And then we put the CX Race in turbo mode, which is really just a normal Bosch Performance CX motor as far as we know. And the time is 4:43 or 4:44, really a record time as well. That goes to show that the current line of Bosch CX Race CX motors are very fast, faster than really everything out there, and that's why they're unbeatable in the World Series. Third place is the Gen 3 Levo. Used to be the fastest, 5:08 is the time. The fourth goes to Fazari Team Peak, and it's significant because this is a Shimano EP8, so 5:25 is the time. Slower than the Brose on the Gen 3 Levo, but not by too much. By the way, we've done this time trial maybe 50 to 60 times, same rider, same effort, so we are fairly confident about the deltas are meaningful in what we present. And then the next one is the Orbea Rise. The Orbea Rise is a special version of the Shimano EP8 motor. It's a lighter bike, the way we have it set up, 42 pounds, 5:40 is the time, so very fast, very respectable, can keep up with the full power bikes. And now we go to the area of mid-powered bikes. The 2023 Levo SL is kind of the king at 651. Notice it's 14% battery use, so a big difference. The range is really where it's affected if you hang out with full power bikes. Transition relay with a very up-and-coming Fatsuwa Ride 60 motor, claiming 60 Newton meters of torque, is 654. And this was surprising because the torque ratings of 60 is not quite accurate. That's really an instantaneous or a turbo mode. Same thing with the wattage. Next is the Trek Fuel EXE 50 Newton meters, 15% use. Little battery hog here, 705. The old Levo SL 730. So you could see the difference between the old Levo SL Gen 1 and the current one. It's 730, much slower. And finally, for the last two, we have two analog bikes. Cross country 23-pound Blur XC at 1643 with more cross country tires. And then the last one is a 32-pound Fezzari LaSalle Peak, 170 millimeters of travel, 1717. So surprising that the time gap was not as huge. Mind you that this is a fairly simple course, a fire road, quite steep, 1 mile long, 500 feet of climbing, and results can vary when it becomes a lot more technical with a lot of acceleration, twists and turns, kind of slow down and speed up kind of situation. So there you go. Hope you found that helpful. We'll have a lot more videos on this subject, detail on each of these times. Thanks a ton.